Welcome to the Valmika Property Investing Podcast. I'm JP, your host and the founder of Valmika Buyers Agency. With my background in investment banking, I'm here to share Wall Street tips and secrets for building a top 4% property portfolio. Let's dive into the world of property investment together. Firstly, I would like to wish all my listeners a happy new year. I wish you all the best for 2024. May it be a healthy and prosperous one for all of you. There's some exciting things happening in the property investing space for my channel. We have created a new YouTube channel which is going to go live from February. So that's exciting. You'll be able to see this podcast on the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel will also be expanded to include some educational material that will be provided for free. Moving on to this week's episode, it's one that is very important to consider, and the title of it is 80% of property investing is psychology, 20% is mechanics. Why is psychology such a big part of property investing? It's all got to do with the uncertainty around investing. Because there's uncertainty, because there's uncertainty around risk reward dynamics, it becomes very much a psychological game. So if you get the psychological component of it right, it actually gives you a huge competitive advantage when it comes to building your property portfolio, whether it's just buying a home for you to live in or actually designing a property portfolio. So let's dive straight into it. So what are the examples of some of the common psychological traps that can sabotage your success? Well, there's a few to name. The first one, and one that I see that is happening all around us, especially when we go to auctions, is FOMO. So that's the fear of missing out. People see how well property investors are doing. They see how well people who have been able to acquire their homes are doing. So they get the fear of missing out on their property. They go to auctions, they're unsuccessful at auctions, panic sets in, they go to the next auction, and they make the mistake of paying too much for their property. It is such a common psychological mistake. The other common mistake is the complete opposite, and that's the fear of failure. People look into buying a property, they see it involves quite a few steps, quite a few areas that they're not comfortable with, they're not familiar with. So they put it in the too hard bucket and they don't do anything about it. Then the sad reality is that they don't end up owning their own property. They don't end up setting themselves up for a good financial future for themselves and their family by not going into the property investment scheme because it's just too hard. And that is just a psychological barrier and it just doesn't need to be there. The other common one that I see is confirmation bias. So people will form an opinion and they will look for articles in the media, for friends, and surround themselves with friends that confirm that way of thinking. That way of thinking just completely restricts you. It puts a cap on your ability and is something that just doesn't need to be there. Now, it's easy for you to say, JP, it shouldn't be there, but how do you actually get around that? Well, there's some tips and insights on how to improve your psychology and develop a winning mindset. And I'm going to go through them now. The first one, and a very important one, is having a clear and compelling goal that is smart and aligned with your values and visions and reflects your why. If you don't have a goal, you don't have a purpose. And if you don't have a purpose, you're not going to do anything about it. So establishing that goal will put you in a huge advantage because you'll have something to work towards. If you've got nothing to work towards and nothing that is solid in a plan, then time goes by, you procrastinate, and nothing gets done. So, some examples of how to get a clearly defined goal. The second example, if you want to buy a home to live in, define your strategy. Do you want to buy a fixer upper? Which suburb do you want to do it in? Do you have debt financing? If you don't, put in a plan to reach out to a mortgage broker or reach out to a bank. Then you can get a price target. Then you know exactly what you can buy, what you can afford, where you're going to look. And I would highly recommend you putting dates to have those goals set by. If you've got that, you can design a carefully laid out plan, and you must advertise that to your friends and family. Say, this is what we're going to do, and this is the date we're going to do it by. Because what does that do? It gives you accountability, and it'll make you do something about it and give you the energy to do something about it. If it's an investment property, define whether you want something for cash flow or for growth or a combination of both. Understand what your portfolio requirements are. And again, set dates and make yourself accountable to those dates. The second way to get around those psychological barriers is surrounding yourself with experts and successful property investors who have mastered the art or science of property investing. You know the saying, you are the type of person by the people you surround yourself with? That is so true. If you don't have the time to meet those property experts, get yourself a buyer's agent. That will leapfrog you into that space. There's also people on LinkedIn. Reach out to them on LinkedIn. You'll see in their profiles if they have a property background, if they're an expert in that. Meet up with them. Go for them to a coffee. Form a relationship with them. There are many people that I've reached out to that I respect and admire, and you learn a lot from each other. And it's a good way to get around that mental barrier of not knowing enough about the property market. That is something that you can tackle by doing this. The other thing to do is go to property investing courses and seminars. There are many of those around in the internet. Ask the people that you've met, that you're surrounding yourself with, what are the worthwhile seminars to go to? What are the worthwhile courses to go to so you can get that extra education that you are looking for? Thirdly, you need to develop a positive and proactive attitude that helps you overcome challenges and seize opportunities. You need to accept that property is a long-term game and it's going to take time. If you're going to go in with the expectations that you're going to be able to purchase your first property that you find, you're going to set yourself up for disappointment. So you must accept and be proactive and give yourself that sense of positivity that you will eventually get there if you persist and you keep on working at it. Lastly, I'd like to speak about the confirmation bias psychological barrier. And this is a big one. The way to get over that is you need to seek feedback and support from others. And also, you need to be open to new ideas and perspectives. The only way you're going to grow personally and you're going to grow financially, and especially with property, is if you're open to new ideas and you're open to be wrong. You might have had a perception of way things work, but if you're never open to accepting that that might be wrong and open to learning new ideas, that would hold you back for the rest of your life. Makes sense, doesn't it? I hope you found this episode useful and insightful. If you did, please leave me a comment on your podcast viewing of choice. And if you can follow me, it'll help me keep the lights on. Thank you very much. And I look forward to speaking with you in the next one. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of the Valmika Property Investing Podcast. If you're interested in our services, please visit us at valmikaproperty.com. Remember, the content shared in this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. For personalized financial advice, always consult your trusted financial advisor or professional. See you in the next episode.